Hello there, fiction folks.
Yeah, are
We
we
got to
not
do a
saying
new
hello
alliter.
humans anymore?
Oh, which one did we say? Sorry, what?
Hello humans.
Hello, humans. That
Remember?
was a good one. That was a good one. We'll stick with that. Hello, humans. Welcome to Fermented Fiction, the new leaf, which has been overturned and become what Sinister Soup used to be. I'm
It's
nailing
the
this intro in classic fashion.
it's the leaf that you get to see our faces on.
That's right. On this side of the leaf, you get to see our faces. On the other side, you are spared that suffering. But anyway, we want you to suffer. So just listen to it. Shut up, everybody.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast. Great intro. Glad to see you. Luckily, some of this could be edited away.
I don't
Speaking
think we
of,
should. I think we should just leave it.
okay, it'll be up to these guys, Jeremy and Colin over here. You can kind of see
That's true.
Jeremy. Jeremy, wave to the camera. That's him. Colin, that's Colin as well, with the more colorful sleeve.
Hmm.
Today we're gonna get right into the show for you. Now that we spent about 5 minutes doing exactly not that, we're
Indeed.
gonna what? What did you want to say?
I said indeed. That's it.
Indeed, that is what you said. All right.
Indeed.
So Travis, what's going on? You got something cool to tell us about your life right now? Quick check in.
About my life, no. I mean, I work, uh, which is good, you know. But I did just get told by a friend of mine, why has no one ever thought to call corn mazes mazes? And that's blown my mind because what a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. Do you even need the second maze?
Yes,
Is
I
it?
think that's the point.
But what if you just had a corn maze company that
Called maze.
just called maze? Yeah,
I think that'd be excellent.
I think so. I think so for sure.
Maze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One combine and a dream. That's all you need to make maze happen.
Maze. Indeed.
That's
They
right.
could say, we only do one thing, maze.
That's right. We only need one thing. One combine, one truck,
It's up to you.
one maze, one dream.
One maze. One dream. That's a future movie right there. Well, like, speaking of future movies,
One life.
how's your
one
life
maze.
been?
Yeah. I don't think my life. Yeah, yeah, right. I really hope my life isn't a future movie. That's not a movie anyone wants to watch. Um, Moving on. So we're talking about time a little bit. I guess I should do a check in. I don't want to. Hey everybody, I'm here. I'm doing Fermented Fiction. I'm stoked about that. That's the cool thing in my life right now. First episode.
Right on, man.
We're doing it. We got Colin and Jeremy in the room. We got lots of good stuff happening. We got my brother not in the room, but in a room, nonetheless, and here in spirit. So
The greatest state in all of 50 states, but I'm biased.
I'm not going to get into state supremacy here. Let's move right into the movie that we're talking about today. Travis, you
Uh-huh.
want to tell us about Time?
About Time, yeah. Let me tell you about Time. It is it's a drama, kind of a comedy. It's very British. And it is a science fiction, is what qualifies it to be on our show. Because it is about a family in London, excuse me, a family in London who all the men in the family get genetically passed down at the age of 21, the ability to travel in time.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Nye is the father, one of the main characters. His son is played by Domhnall Gleeson, and the love interest of the movie is Rachel McAdams. I believe after her Notebook blew her up.
Right. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, without getting into the nitty gritty, which we don't do because what do we do?
We like to debate things up in here. So we're gonna play a game we have titled Forced Enrollment, and the way that works, we roll two d20s. The higher roll will have to defend the book, movie, show that we're talking about this week, and the lower roll will have to attack it, regardless of how we actually feel.
Indeed.
Oh
I
yeah.
got my dice. Do you got your dice?
I got one right here.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do force control.
Force control.
Oof.
We both reacted that way. Which one? How oof was yours? Mine was a 5 oof.
Mine was a 3 oof.
Yes. Okay. Nice. Nice. All right then.
Okay, so you pick, right? Or no. You're defending. I'm attacking. So defender goes first.
Defender always goes first. Yep.
Defender always goes first.
Do we have somebody on timer duty? Perchance.
Yes.
We're getting timers. Boom boom.
Oh, we're getting
Getting timers? That used to be me.
time's
That
about
used to
to
be you.
happen. Okay.
All I gotta say
You've
is
been
it's
promoted.
about time.
It's a
Oh.
this guy over here with the jokes.
All right. So we got enrollment in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I went into this movie being told basically the same thing you always get told when someone tells you to watch a rom-com and you're like, I don't watch those. They're stupid. And your friend always goes, no, this one is actually good. And you should totally watch it with your wife. And when I say my friend told me that, I mean the 3 of you in this room. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll give it a shot. And if I don't like it, hopefully I roll low. Because I hate rom-coms. I hate them. But this one was awesome. It was not just a story it wasn't a love story. Deanna, I'm stealing this from Deanna. Deanna did say this, but it really resonated with me. It is not a love story, it's a story about love. It wasn't just about one relationship, which was really, really the coolest thing about it. It was about love, like, in general. And it was as much about the relationship with the father and the son, and the sister and the son, and the sister and the wife, you know, and the mother and the wife. It was like all the different ways that love can find a way to work between different types of people, and all the ways that love brings us all together. And I thought it was pretty beautiful, actually. I was when I was trying to talk about it to Deanna after watching it, I was like choking up a little bit, which is pretty not usually how I roll. So that's my first statements.
That's good. That's pretty good first defense. I would say that all of that would be true if the main protagonist wasn't just a creep, just a major creepy dude. Like, this man uses time travel. Yeah, sure, a lot of people are awkward in the world, but I don't know. It presents a lot of issues of, like, is he really a good guy? Or did he kind of just force everything in his life through the magical power that he had? I think it really hit me on a rewatch, because I'd seen this movie before, but rewatching it, I kind of put on a critical lens. And I do think I viewed Domhnall Gleeson's character a lot differently. And I don't think he's exactly the most easy to follow protagonist because of how he uses his ability. And that really came forward in his relationship that he, like, pretty much forces with Rachel McAdams. Like, the guy just sits at a museum for like 3 days and waits for this woman that he met once in, like, a restaurant. And yeah, that's sure, it's all romantic and stuff, but then he, like, approaches her and it's weird. And then you get these continuity errors with how he does use it, because I kept shouting at the screen, like, just time travel. Like, he would screw up, and he'd screwed up with women before and, like, use the power to go back and fix it. But then there's times when he doesn't. And he'll, like, so for example, Margot Robbie's character at the very beginning, when he first learns that he can time travel, he, like, goes up and he talks to her, and it goes very bad because he's a very awkward human. So he just time travels and, like, fixes the conversation. But then in the museum, when he approaches Rachel McAdams and once again trips on his own feet, it's very bad. It's very weird, very kind of creepy. He doesn't use it that time. like I'm like, okay, just time travel back to, like, before you started that conversation and take a different approach. Instead, he like spends the whole day like following her, very awkwardly, and then time travels to a party and uses something she told him in the future to basically like make her fall in love with him. And that's just got a lot of problems to me.
Well,
So
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I think it changed my perspective of it with that new kind of lens of I don't know.
I think that's putting a really, really cynical lens on very natural human behavior. Like that time travel piece that you're talking about kind of represents perspective through like aging, and they use the time travel as a device to explore the different ways that those scenarios could have played out. You know, everybody has their good days and their bad days, you know, and it's extra hard to have a good day when you're talking to like your major crush. So it's everything that he experiences, I feel like, is something that almost any dude has experienced on some level. And as he evolves as a human being and grows into these relationships more, like starting out relationships is always awkward, you know? It's almost always awkward in some form or another. And that's either interpreted as creepy or endearing. And it all depends on the way you look at it, like, and the way it's reciprocated and whatnot. All their interactions were reciprocal. They were mutual. Except for initially in the museum, that was definitely pretty weird. But like all the other ones, there was like clearly a mutual attraction. Even in the museum one, when he walks away, she's like, he's cute though. You know, weirdo, but he's cute. So like there was still something there. That's all I'm saying.
I think what happens in it though is it presents a lot of ethical issues that it then just ignores because it's like, oh no, we're just a fun rom-com. Like later with the kids, like he has like he changes time and then, so spoiler alert, he jumps back in time and he learns that like through his father kind of telling him all of these rules he has to learn, he learns that once you've had a child, you can't really redo that moment because it was that exact sperm and that exact egg.
Right.
So he like changes time at one point and has a son instead of a daughter. And he'd known his daughter for like 4 years. So I get it.
He did.
But then he has this son and he just like picks the son up and is like, nope, we're going to just reset and like go back to the life that I had a daughter in. And I'm like sitting there on screen, but like what happened to that kid?
That kid got had later. Did you see? They brought him back for a cameo. That kid got had, bro. Don't worry about that kid. He got had.
I did worry about that kid, and the movie just like is like the movie does exactly what you're saying. Is like, don't worry about that kid. Like that kid, it doesn't matter. Like just move along and focus on the love story. And I'm like, but I can't move along. There's like a timeline in which that boy is just. I don't know what happened to the boy.
You've been watching too much Rick and Morty. Actually, you haven't been watching enough. Don't worry about that kid. Yeah, that's exactly what Rick would say, and he'd be right, because that kid, that's an important little part of a story, but in terms of the overarching plot, I think it's a pretty small role in the story that they're really trying to tell, which again is like that evolution of love, you know, and how it changes. Like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie was his dad's advice to go back and live every day with 2 different intentions. And that's like the way we all kind of, or at least I always have kind of wished I could do that, you know? If you knew you could do that every day, that second day person would be like the best version of you that you could ever imagine, you know? I think in a lot of times. But
I will give it that. I think the movie does have some very good messages, but they're equally counteracted by some kind of really sketchy ones that I couldn't have as good of a taste in my mouth after watching it as I did before. I think it has some. The script is written from a lens that kind of just breezes past a lot of those weird, like, is he okay? Or, you know, what happened to the kid? Like, I'm coming back to, or I don't know, like issues with the sister, which they do address, but they address it so much later. And Yeah.
Issues with the sister? What do you
Yeah,
think?
the sister's like depression, the sister's kind of sexual assault, which is implied but is never like directly talked about in a way that really like solidifies her as a main character. She's kind of again just a thought you breeze past. Like, yes, she's depressed. Yes, she has problems. Yes, the brother helps to solve them in the best way that he can. And then let's think about the love story again and move past that. And she's all good because she got with the right guy. I think that's the part that really bothered me is it's her problems aren't from her actual like beneficial healing. The way that the main character and his wife solve her problem is by saying, you just haven't met the right guy yet. And if you meet the right guy, you won't be sad anymore. It's like, that's not
10 seconds.
how that works.
Okay, that's not a bad point, but I would like to say I think the sister was way more about approaching that like chaotic kind of energy that she embodied. How it was seen as
And pinch it off.
I did.
Good.
Pinched it. It flopped right in, man.
Pinched it off.
All right. Hey,
Beer of the
that
week.
was a debate, all right. Beer of the week.
Beer of the
Let's
week.
do it. All right.
Sounds even-
Gonna
Okay.
pull up a beer. You guys want to pop in for this bit?
Oh yeah.
Pop in for beer.
Oh,
of the
we're
week?
here, bud.
Oh
Pop
yeah.
on in.
All day.
And you
Hey,
might have
guys.
to edit this out, but remember,
I
Can't
mean,
tell
part
me
of
what
this will
to
be
edit
live,
out,
but-
except that you probably can, actually.
Do you want me to stop the recording so that you have less video chunks, or do you want it all one chunk?
we can have one chunk just in case anything worthwhile happens.
You never know.
I certainly
You
don't.
shouldn't rule us out completely. All right, so the boys are right here, other side of this table. We got a few pint glasses here.
Been on the table the whole time.
Sure has. Yeah, we could have.
Promote it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Continuity error.
Look at that.
Let's
Yeah.
crop it. That way it can
It's miles
almost
away.
nearly be read by somebody, maybe.
Probably
good.
have a brick somewhere.
does your shirt say Admiral Ackbeer?
It does. That is what
Boy,
it is.
does it.
Lost memories.
That's what we're
Ooh, the
drinking
pour
today.
is.
Lost
there we
memories.
go.
I like that.
Isn't
I
that
like
cool?
the can.
It's a cool can.
That's
very
the
cool.
money right there.
We're drinking that in honor of About Time. We got it from Special Brews, actually,
Hey.
because Special Brews is awesome. If you're ever in Linwood, Washington, go there because they have awesome beers like this that you can't find anywhere else. They're also right by Colin's attic, from which we are recording. It's we really appreciate him donating his house. Thank you, Colin.
Yes,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. It is dope.
Anyway, this is an imperial stout aged on coconut and almonds. What do
That
you?
sounds like you're gonna hate it because of how sweet it is.
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
gonna pour
like all of
myself a
those
small
words.
ration, but I think these two will like it. So
Yeah, I like all of those words, even the ones where you won't like it.
I got it for the theme.
Almost kind of especially because you won't like it. Probably more because of that.
Oh my god, it is like tar.
You like that?
It is.
Oh.
So that
Dude,
is,
that is the blackest beer I've ever seen.
That's my
Yeah.
kind of beer.
yeah, that's like
That's my kind of beer.
what is that? Blackstrap molasses.
Mm.
That's what
That's
this
my
is.
kind of beer.
The stuff that they're like, can we do anything with this?
It's
I
like
don't know.
if you brewed coffee
Let's tell people it's
using
healthy.
coffee instead of water.
But like the bottom of the barrel,
2 days
where it all
old.
congealed.
It's been sitting
Yeah,
down
like
there.
you reduced it down a bit, too. You'll want that.
What are you drinking, Travis?
Yeah, what
you got?
do you have?
I'm gonna give you
Oh
guys
well,
this.
I've
Yay.
decided that instead of telling you the palette and type of beer, I'm just gonna tell you the price. I think
Ooh, I like
that is
That-
more fitting.
is awesome.
So I want you to know that for the low price of $7.20, you can get
Ooh.
6 of these wonderful beers
6, you said.
at your local grocery store. So if you are about to climb a mountain, why not get a beer named after one?
Boom.
Respect.
Rainier.
Respect.
Ooh, that's
Which is-
beautiful. That's Yeah,
local
poetry.
to your neck of the woods.
It is. Well, I mean,
ASMR.
it was.
We're gonna put this by the microphone.
Enjoy, Jeremy. That one was for you.
Oh, it's good.
I didn't hear anything.
I
Yeah.
didn't either.
It did not trigger.
Not even at all.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't hear it?
Not.
I think the noise cancellation was like, no, we won't record
We're not going
Rainier
to do
being
that.
cracked.
Not to you.
That's a beautiful pour, bud.
That's. Oh.
Nice.
Just
Brought to
about
you
half.
by Rainier. But not
I can hear
yet.
the mountains of Washington.
That you can.
For
That's what
for
they
the
sound
low
like.
price of $2.15.
That's what they sound like.
Mm,
No, this is doing.
smells like I'm getting cocoa nibs.
Cocoa nibs. What are you getting there, Travis?
Beer.
He went straight in for the
Yeah.
kill.
He just started slugging it. That's
I'm
good.
getting beer. You want me to just start slugging it?
Oh, this is gonna be a good night. Just look at the drip.
We didn't even fast forward. Oh,
That was beautiful.
some in the beard for later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like it tastes like water and regret.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's
Well, it definitely does not come straight from the glaciers of Mount Rainier.
And now we will
No.
never be sponsored by Rainier. Thank you
good.
all for that.
Officially.
Officially,
I didn't say that was a bad thing.
This is chocolate sauce.
it
It's
is
very,
pretty
very
chocolatey.
chocolatey.
Yeah.
Just drinking a bottle of Hershey's.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The Hershey's chocolate bottle that your dad made your
Is-
cocoa with.
Hmm.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
But for adults.
I feel like, yeah, they had like a whole, the beer mash, and then they just grabbed like an industrial size carton of that chocolate sauce.
Yeah. I mean, I'll ferment
Yeah.
some of that all day.
Yeah,
All day, every
you
day.
could have took a
Yeah,
bath in
some
it.
like a float with this.
A float.
Oh, hell yeah.
What kind of float?
Classic vanilla
All right.
Or, you
instead
know,
of root beer.
What about bubble gum?
You know what I will
Get out.
give? You know what I will give to Rainier?
All right.
Okay. I'm thinking about like I would drink this on speaking of floats, I'm floating down the Missouri, it's baking sun like 95 degrees
Mhm.
out. I'll go with this because this
Oh,
this
yeah.
does not taste like much.
Mhm.
like it'll provide sustenance
Yeah.
and beer
Around
without
these
being-
parts,
it'll taste cool.
What's great about Rainier is that it's never on the menu, but it's always there.
It's always there.
Nice.
You just
Nice.
You just give the bartender a nod and tell him, "I'll take the R," and then they just hand it to you.
Nice.
Ronier.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Zironier.
So all the beers will be like $10, and then the
Mhm.
Rainier will be like $4.
Oh yeah. Coming
Under the
right out of
table.
a can. Under the table.
All I know is my one big problem with stouts that taste like chocolate syrup is that you can't drink those on the beach, man.
No.
That's just pain. That's pain.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is
That's
a
suffering.
wintertime drink.
You can drink
That
them
is
on the
a-
ski slope, but only if you're done skiing.
You can
Yeah.
drink it in the
Yes.
summer, but only at night and if you're camping.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Supposedly, it's aged on coconut and almonds.
That's what they say. I don't taste much coconut.
Not really. Maybe a little coconut. Definitely not almond.
I mean, I think they work together to give it that kind
No,
of
I take it back.
nutty,
I taste a lot of
chocolatey
coconut.
kind of thing.
When I went
Right.
looking for it, I found it.
Yeah.
All right.
I am dying to tell you guys what I actually think.
Okay.
Good. I
let's
have
get into
notes,
it.
But you guys go first.
I love about that was painful. But here's the thing. I don't even disagree with a lot of the points I used. I do kind of think the main character is a bit creepy, but I think a lot of men are and awkward, and that's who he is. And if I were in his shoes, not sure I would not use time travel in the exact same way that he did. I did hate the thing with the sister.
I agree with that.
Least
I
favorite
agree with
part
that.
about the movie, my least favorite part is that they're in the hospital and they're like, hey, just get a new boyfriend and then you'll be happy. And she is. And I'm like, that's not how that works. But all that aside, this movie has like 3 elements that are like my favorite things all wrapped into one. British comedy, a father-son story, and a good romance. Because I'm a sucker for a good love story. And it was all 3 of those things. And it was British, and I just think the British are kind of funnier than us, so yeah.
That's why they get away with it.
Yeah.
Fair.
They get away with horrible moral choices because
They're
they
funnier than
sound
us.
funny.
That's true. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Love Actually, and like that has some questionable things in it, but I'm like, oh, you're so witty.
Right. Aren't you just clever? Aren't you a clever fella?
Aren't you
Yeah.
just a clever fella?
No, it's
But
true.
what did you think of About Time, Rohan?
I thought you made some really good points. I did genuinely enjoy it. It still had a lot of things I don't like about romantic comedies or about comedies in general. I like when comedies try to take like a realist angle, but I don't like when they do it like halfway. So I felt like this movie, in the relationships that we were supposed to really care about, they made sure the characters were very human, but they still had those like characters on the periphery that were like, you know, like cartoon characters. And I'm like, I love a realist perspective, but if you're gonna do that, I do like you to like kind of own it. It takes me out of the story when you make everyone but only the people in the inner circle human.
Yeah.
And everybody else on the outside's a clown. You know? Like
No, I would agree with that.
who's inviting that
I think-
director to anything? Who's honestly going, you know who we should invite to dinner? That guy. That director
he's
guy who hates
He's sitting
everything
in the
about
corner. He's the guy sitting in the corner, and you see like you say one thing that's like kind of uncouth, and he just pulls out a notebook and is like,
Yeah.
you're like, don't you dare.
I mean,
Stop
I'd
watching me.
100% invite that guy to something.
Oh my, you would.
Jay's literally writing things down in
Oh, yeah.
person.
I have,
Right?
You
I
are that
said
guy.
it's how I write things quickly. And yeah, look, I have notes.
Do you have a code?
A code? No, I just
Like a writing code?
like
Where you can transcribe things as fast as I can talk? What?
no, I just
I mean, it's in
wrote-
6th grade cursive.
Yeah, it's like
It looks
regular.
really nice.
Like thank you. I've
Okay.
been writing a lot of
I
thank
wanna-
yous recently.
I do want to bring Jeremy into this with a great segue here. Let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Nye, because he
Oh
is
my god.
magnetic.
Yeah,
No. How do they work?
he
Bill,
plays
Bill Nye.
old
knocks it out of
wise
the park.
hippie
I
cool
see.
guy better than anybody, and it just
Ah.
kind of makes sense that he can time travel and make every social situation go his way. I also have written here from your guys' arguments, let's all act like we wouldn't try to make every social interaction go our way.
Absolutely. That's what, yeah. You can't say you wouldn't use that power. You know?
No, I mean I use that argument.
It
but,
was a good
literally watching the movie, I was like, yeah, I would probably do that.
Absolutely.
I'm an awkward person, and if I like fumbled the first conversation with a woman, I'd be like, let's just bring that back and do that again.
That would be literally the first thing I did.
Hi, my name is Mary. Oh, no, your name is Mary. Let me redo it.
Literally any time when somebody's like, hey, enjoy your meal, and I'm like, you too?
Crap. Jeremy would be going back
I'm gonna
every.
run to the bathroom real quick.
At the
Everybody
movie
ignore
theater, enjoy your movie. You too. Give me a sec.
Like,
You're in the trunk of your car. Also, I do want to say this movie is not a sci-fi. This is a fantasy.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no explanation for the magic.
They're just like, yeah, you can do it. Like, how? Like, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
More of a
You're
fantasy.
saying it's
Yeah.
fantasy? Yeah, I would agree.
It's more magic than science.
I went into it. I think it's one of those weird things, right? Where it's like aliens, so it's sci-fi. Swords must be fantasy, even if there's really no fantasy in it or sci-fi. I went into it automatically, billing it in my head as sci-fi because it had time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Harry
feel
Potter
like
had time travel.
I feel like
too.
the dust jacket on the About Time had a spaceship on it, and then I opened it up, and like the spaceship is a dream that the character has in chapter 3, and then it's
Lame.
never referenced again for the whole
Okay.
thing. And I'm like,
Oh, so you have the
"Come
book.
I didn't even
How
know
does
there
the-
was a book.
Yeah, I did not.
How does the book compare?
on." Oh no, I don't.
Oh.
I'm just saying the movie had a dust jacket that
Oh, the movie.
led me to believe.
I do think that is my favorite thing about this movie is like adding that fantastical element not as a main plot point but as like if this did exist, how would just regular people, because I've talked to Deanna about this and I've talked to you about this a little too, Clay, but like my favorite movies, Richard Linklater is one of my favorite directors, and that's just because he makes movies about nothing, like average everyday people, and somehow they're compelling. And I think that's what I love the most about Time is it's like if we gave this fantastical element of being able to time travel to just like your run-of-the-mill guy who wants to fall in love, how would he use it? And I think
That
that's
was a nice touch to it. Yeah, good points.
Not to win his fantasy football every week.
every week.
Come on.
Yeah.
I would win fantasy
Unrealistic.
football
Every
Zero
single
three.
time.
week.
He
Ever.
maybe lost the week that his child was born or conceived, depending on how they're playing it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no. But he went back and bet on the Eagles. Which no one else was doing.
I have two
dude.
problems with the film.
oh,
Okay.
let's
Number
go.
one is the sperm argument,
I have a problem. Lots
which
of
is
problems.
which is the plot hole, the one thing that changes the rules and actually forces him to abide by any sort of principles is that he can't travel back further in time than the conception that he had because that will change the child. But then everything else change. He changes all kinds of other crap, and
Yeah.
nothing negative happens or positive for that matter.
Yeah,
At all.
Yeah.
I was
So
literally
it's like-
just thinking
it's like,
of that. Yeah.
how could we come up with an excuse for him to have an emotional beat with his father, who he can't hang out with anymore?
Yeah.
Um,
right.
Well, I'm going to the sperm donation clinic today, so let's just do that.
Yeah. Get that puppy in a vial. You know.
Yeah, Well, right.
If it's that important.
At all.
Get it in a vial if it's that
So
important.
I have
explaining
a book
that
here.
to your wife.
Oh, you're pulling out Asimov.
Okay,
Oh my
Drop
gosh.
some Asimov on y'all.
Oh,
So
We're going from
that
End of
is-
Eternity is one of my friend's literally favorite science fiction books. And it's about a organization of people who travel throughout time and try and shorten all the negative things throughout history. So a dictator comes to power, he kills billions of people throughout the galaxy. They try and shorten his reign to as short as possible by doing the smallest change they can. So the example in the book at one point is they realize that this organization realizes that they can move a paint can from one place to another place. The guy who goes and searches for it doesn't find it, and then that has a consequence, a butterfly effect down the line that prevents this dictator from coming to power at all, and billions of people don't die.
right.
So I feel like this kind of brings up the criticism of that About Time doesn't cover, of like how many things does he change that utterly cause World War III.
Yeah.
and I think
I will say.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, I
Jeremy.
think Travis kind of alluded to that in his argument when he was talking about how, these kids and these entire alternate timelines are just getting axed. But,
Just
when you have...
baby graves.
Yeah.
Just a pile of them. Just a mass grave of the children from every time he touches.
When you have time travel, you automatically have infinite timelines if you're working on like a timeline thing rather than a time loop sort of situation. Which means, I have written here, infinite timelines mean infinite kids were erased.
Right.
All but one kid.
Literally the
Infinity
worst person.
minus
He
one
killed
is
infinite babies.
It's true.
But did
infinite.
he kill them? Here's the thing, because this whole debate can open up, of like maybe they're just split timelines. Maybe we're in that scenario, and he lives with that kid in a different timeline, and we're just watching the one. We don't know.
Okay,
I think I think all the kids in those other timelines don't have a dad, right?
Yeah, he either killed infinite kids or he abandoned infinite kids. I don't.
Do they
know
still
which
have
is
a grandpa, do you
exactly
think?
Pascal's wager.
Do you think they still have a grandpa?
They.
Those kids? If they don't have a dad. Is the timeline revolving around him?
Right? Well, that's the question
I
is,
don't know.
does
It
he
kind of
leave?
has
When
to.
he time travels, does he leave the other timeline? Because that's what my
don't
wife
know.
was saying, was like, well, what if he encounters himself when he travels
I
back in
think he
time for
does.
that? And it's
Well,
like,
he
oh
can't
yeah.
really because he's
What?
traveling along his own timeline, is what Bill Nye says.
I think
Yeah,
he leaves
yeah.
because I think the proof is in the fact that his sister doesn't remember. Because he tells his sister at one point when he takes her back to the party and she punches that guy in the face and meets the different guy. He tells her like I can time travel and travels with her.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he like has to reset all of that because of the kid thing, and like goes back to when she's in the hospital, she doesn't know. So I think it's got to be.
I think
jumps
there's
out.
Ooh.
there are just major problems with this timeline situation. I mean, that would have been my major critique of this if I rolled lower. Yeah, I was just gonna tear into that because they go, you can't change a single thing, and then his solution to that is, I'm gonna go back 40 years, and like relive my life from like my sister's high school party, so she can have a good boyfriend. And I'm pretty confident, didn't take any notes or anything, but I'm pretty confident I can do every single decision exactly the same.
Yeah, it's weird that
Yeah.
they have this sort of ability to reset the timeline from certain points. Do they just like reload from the last save or something? And
They have
if
a bank of
so,
saves.
Can you? Does it really matter if you go back in time before you porked down?
There's
with
even
your
like
wife?
weird like ship of Theseus dilemmas and paradoxes where like
Yeah.
okay, he can go back to a time that he remembers, which implies that if he doesn't remember it, he can't go back to it, right? If he's like in unconscious, right? And so then that implies some metaphysical paradox of like, well, the only reality that exists is the one that he remembers.
Well, does he just have to remember it, or does he just have to know when something happened? Because he was told about the party where Mary was going to be, and does he remember exactly what he was doing?
And does he
on that
age?
night
I
at
thought
that
for
time?
sure
I
he
don't
would
think
like
he does.
when he goes back 40 years, if he relives that 40 years, he's now 80 years old.
Listen, this is what I
Travis.
love about this movie, is that all of these questions are racing through my mind, and then Bill Nye says some adorable thing. And
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's so good.
I don't care.
I know.
I don't care.
Dude, I forgot all about it, and I didn't even
And I'm like, I
question
love
it.
my dad.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even question it when they did the whole, and like when I thought about it later, I was like, that's stupid. But like the whole, oh, my son's been born. Last time I'm gonna see my dad. I'm like, my brain like short circuited. I'm like, that doesn't make
I
it.
just want to play
That's so
ping pong with my
stupid.
dad.
But whatever. I'll take it because that scene still almost made me cry.
Yeah.
It was so.
It's true.
I'll go back and watch it. It'll make me almost cry again.
It was a
I
good scene.
brought up I had 2 criticisms. That was just number 1.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
yes.
Let's get us.
There's still number 2.
Dive in.
Number 2
Number 2.
is the ethical criticism of which we already touched on in various
That was Travis's.
which has to do with okay, if his sister makes a decision that he doesn't like, then he convinces her to time travel to change her personal decision, which now means that he's essentially God, and what is good is what he decides.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that came in earlier than the stuff with the sister.
Mm-hmm.
I honest to God, I
idiot.
used it as a point that doesn't seem like the strongest point. But to me, that first arises with the Kate, the artist. Who's the artist?
Kate
That
Moss?
She's obsessed with.
Kate Moss.
Kate Moss. The Kate Moss thing. She tells him the exact thing he
Yeah.
needs to say to make
Right.
her fall in love with him
Yeah.
at the museum,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes back in time and says that. And I'm like, that to me is like, is she actually
Red zone.
Yeah, it's gotta feel like
in an
red
ethic,
zone.
at that
in an
point.
ethic standpoint, like in a theological argument standpoint, like you've taken away her free will.
Right.
Exactly.
You've
Well,
I did.
yes
I did.
and no.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm
you
gonna
would say no.
I would say yes, but also no. Because, it establishes earlier on in the movie, when he's hanging out all summer with Margot Robbie and stuff like that, that,
What a
you
drag.
can't ultimately change what somebody is going
That's
to do and how they're going to feel just by time traveling at them.
That's one side of the argument.
I think
But
one side of
then
the argument.
also, you can really, really
Yeah.
stack the odds.
You can make sure that you're at an exact place at an exact time when they are most vulnerable,
You can basically
and you know everything about them already.
You can basically
to convince
groundhog
them
day that.
I want to
whatever you
But
want.
I want to
Insane.
add something to that too. I want to add something. I had a totally different view of it. So this is completely non-theological. My view of it was like he was kind of new at the time traveling thing. It felt like that to me. Even though the moment was, I mean, they explicitly said like, "Oh, you can't make someone fall in love with you." Well, okay, he's gonna do it for the rest of the movie though, and even to Margot Robbie. It felt more like when Spider-Man first tries to swing on a building. To me, it was like more because story than it was.
Yeah.
Than it was.
Hey guys,
about,
can
like-
I'm so sorry. Can we edit this and stop the record? I have to. I'm on call, literally 24/7. I just have to take this really quick.
Yeah,
Okay,
man, do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, honestly, that's probably enough for one episode.
Probably.
I would say.
We chucked a good 40 minutes in there.
I know.
All right, we're gonna call it a night. Thank you for tuning in. This has been episode something. We haven't
It's
decided.
don't say anything.
Episode, I
Yeah.
bet.
We're not gonna say anything.
Oh, that was alarming.
Emergency. Someone's time traveled. Travis has to go back in time.
Can you do that? Can I? That means I can do it.
He
Oh,
has-
because you're both
I'm gonna
male.
go back and do it.
that's true. You are both in the same male line,
I
so
did-
it's.
I do want Jordan Peele.
Wait, how does it work if they have two boys?
We never know. Maybe they can't.
Or maybe it happens to both of them.
Hello. I
Hi.
heard you saying, "Let's call it a night," and I'm like, "No, it's like not that."
Oh, I
It
just
was a
mean.
very short conversation.
It was short. I just figured you had to go run and rescue someone
No,
from
no,
a time paradox.
no. I'm good.
Oh, I only meant for one episode, but yeah, we can keep
Oh,
going
okay.
if we want to.
I thought
Shoot.
here's another thought experiment, which is, can Jordan Peele make this into a horror film?
Oh, 100%.
Where all
Yeah.
Oh,
the
100%.
decisions, all the criticisms we have actually come true, and his dad is like, "What have you done?"
I mean, yeah, that
I think-
would be no problem.
I think Jordan
It's
Peele
just-
would make it.
Little turn.
He would make it make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He would make
Yeah.
it make sense.
but he wouldn't be as adorable.
It's true.
No.
No.
Which is fine, Bill Nye is powerful enough without having the ability to time travel as well.
That's true.
Speaking of Jordan Peele, next episode,
Yeah.
no, we're going to be talking about. No.
Nope.
Unless we
Unless this
release
comes
the
out
next
first.
episode.
Unless that comes out.
previously.
It'll
This
be
episode.
it'll be an episode.
One episode.
It's coming.
Is gonna be that, I bet.
It is going to be an episode. Oh, but I was going to say, Colin, I don't think your criticism is actually a criticism.
Oh.
Here's my thing. Here's my spiel. Because this is what I was going to say if I got the fighting for it thing is, despite yes, the ethical issues are pretty bad, but any movie that makes me cry about my dad fall in love with Rachel McAdams and question ethics, that's excellent.
True. It is.
Yes.
I argue against this film. I have so many problems with it on so many levels. But I would absolutely run it in my philosophy of ethics class, and we would have this exact debate.
That's what I'm saying. If you can run this in a philosophy class, and it's a rom-com, and it has Bill Nye, it's not a criticism to me. That makes it better.
That means it's pure gold.
That's
Yeah.
Pure
yeah.
gold.
I will also give a shout out to Primer, which is another sci-fi time travel
Primer
film.
is so good.
And what they did differently is a lot of things. But one of the things that I prefer about it is that the main characters start as friends, and then the time travel component makes them enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of wanted a little bit of that in this. You know,
There has been so many copycats of Primer that with higher budgets that have tried, and no one has ever done as good as they did on like shoestring money.
yeah, like Chris Pratt was in one
Mm-hmm.
direct to Amazon recently. It was pretty good, but it wasn't. There's plot holes in that too. Next time on Fermented Fiction.
Well, but there's a really big difference between exploring the concept and exploring the consequences of the concept. You know?
Yeah.
And this is very
Yeah.
much a story that is about the consequences and the characters. And it took a very optimistic, lighthearted approach with it.
It did, yeah.
It did not, I mean, it's not at all trying to be Primer. It couldn't be further from trying.
Yeah.
Like, that both of those kind of movies need to exist, or the other one
Right.
would have no power at all. I feel like that's pretty, like, I guess you're not really comparing it. You're just doing a shout out, but it's apples to oranges,
Yeah.
which I don't know why
Yeah.
we can't compare fruit, but
I don't
Steal
either.
fruit.
it's not allowed. Why can't fruit be compared?
Like I could compare
This
fruits
is,
all
it
day.
is, this whole conversation is reminding me of one of my favorite interviews, which this is going to sound weird because I hate Michael Bay, but it's like an armor. I feel like this whole movie with a lot of the concepts was like this interview I watched with Ben Affleck where he's talking about Armageddon, and he's like, I was in a conversation with Michael Bay, and I said, why not just teach astronauts how to drill?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, that's great.
And Michael Bay looked at me and said, shut the F up, Ben. I walked away.
You don't know art.
It's your boy. He's.
Why are we getting
And I think-
oil rig drillers to go up in space to put a atomic bomb in a meteor to blow it up and then save Earth?
NASA would be absolutely jazzed to make a robot that can do that.
We're working on it.
And then
I just
few
think-
people would die.
I think About Time's writer's room was like, hey, I don't know, maybe he like would screw up time. We don't care. Just move along. This is about the themes.
Put the Asimov away, Bill. All right, we're making a lighthearted
Asimov
rom-com
back on
here.
the shelf.
Put the
Okay, the bomb has to be
Asimov
triggered
away.
with a dead man switch that Bruce Willis has to be holding because there's no way to hotwire it otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's just like
That makes
tears healing a wound. You know, it doesn't have to make sense. It's the sentiment that matters.
Yeah.
It's the sentiment.
I watched
Yeah,
Pokemon.
you need the
first
blood of a
movie, too.
hero. If you want to save the world, you need the blood of a hero.
We all cried
Pokemon
for
2000.
Pikachu.
So good.
All of us that aren't monsters.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll talk about that one too. Is that sci-fi or fantasy? Pokemon.
Fantasy.
That's fair.
Truth.
I don't know. There's
It's just true.
there's some weird science going on.
There's some ethics
Pokeball.
going on in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Is-
Yeah, Pokeball.
Are
Let's
Pokemon
not-
just dogfighting?
Let's-
just
no.
dogfights.
We're not going to get into the ethics of Pokemon on this episode.
It's a dog
That is-
fighting based
no,
economy.
Jeremy, stop it.
Michael Vick would
right.
have been a great
No,
trainer.
no, stop it. He would have been a gym leader. Stop it. All right. Bird pipe Pokemon. Everybody shut up. All right.
Okay.
We got to move on from this. We're going to record another episode right now.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Hop into it. All right.
Stopping this. Last
Thanks,
word.
thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Fermented Fiction, episode something about time. And we hope you'll check out the next one. We're going to have new beers. We're going to have another movie. We're going to have Nope happening next. So let's do this thing. Thanks for coming.